Trump has labeled Chicago one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Let's deep dive into it.
Just moments ago, new attacks on Chicago from President Trump and a new promise to impose federal law enforcement to fight crime on the ground. He said, quote, "Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far." He added, "I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon." Now,
at least 54 people, which I think it was 57 or 58, at least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend, 8 people killed. Actually, some people are saying it's 9 people killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago was the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far. Pritzker, J.B. Pritzker, that is, he's the governor of Illinois, needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. "I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. Make America great again."
we should note that Chicago does not rank in the FBI's top 10 list of the most violent cities in the United States. And you will see Memphis, Nashville, Kansas City there. Those are all cities. Houston, in states with Republican governors, and the president not threatening to send in the National Guard to those cities. Now, having said Chicago's not in the top 10, it was a violent weekend there. At least 56 people shot, 7 people killed. Chicago's violent crime rate, though, is dropping. So it is that complicated picture. Let's get right to CNN's Elena Treen at the White House for the latest on what the president's saying. Good morning, Elena.
Good morning, John. And look, I mean, it's clear, very clear from if you've been following what the president has been saying over the last week or so and what he's been posting, a couple posts this morning included, he is really fixated on Chicago right now. And what we did, what we're learning is, one, my colleagues and I broke the news last week that they are planning a major surge in federal law enforcement officials, specifically immigration related officials. That includes ICE and Customs and Border Patrol and other agencies to Chicago.
Y'all saying that the stats got to be wrong or whatever. This is usually what happens. You can go by any metric and then you can pull up something, right? Because, like, for example, Nashville was on the list. I've never seen Nashville ever be on any list of the most dangerous cities in the United States of America. So they went to some obscure, oh man, this is what the FBI said about this particular statistic or whatever. And then that's what they hit you with, right? I've never seen any of that type of stuff, right? So Nashville, Tennessee, get the heck out of here, right? So I didn't even know Nashville was a city that had that level of visibility when it came to crime in the first place. So you got to remember, when we looking at these conversations and when we having these conversations, we're having a conversation with CNN. I like to go to multiple different platforms, local, national, international, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whatever, right? In order to have a conversation. I don't want to just stay in an echo chamber. I want to see what everybody is talking about. So you got to remember what you're listening to, and then we take it into consideration. So let's get back to what they're saying about Chicago.
To deal with immigration. But all of that coming as the president continues to argue that he wants to try and do what he is doing here in Washington, D.C., in Chicago as well. Now, I do want to be clear in my conversations with White House officials. They've told me that the operation we're likely to see begin this week, we're told it's expected to begin on Friday, is really going to be immigration focused. That's about it. It is not about domestic crime like it is here in D.C. They still have to work out some of the details of that because, again, Chicago is in a state of Illinois. They have a governor, not really the case here in D.C. And so there's some legal questions about what the president and this administration is actually able to do. But as part of this immigration push, we're told it's similar to what we saw happen in L.A. earlier this year. We are also seeing National Guard troops kind of being put on standby and being prepared to be sent to Chicago to help with that. And so all of this coming as the president, and you said it, is posting again this morning saying essentially that Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world, calling out the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, specifically saying that he needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I mean, he is clearly escalating his rhetoric on Chicago and making very clear what he wants to do there, which is exactly what he's doing here in D.C. It's just a question or not of whether he can actually get to, send the type of federal law enforcement agents there that he has done in this city.
Based on your reporting, we should start to see some of it by the end of the week. Elena Trine at the White House, thank you very much. Kate?
Joining us right now to talk about this is the Lieutenant Governor of Illinois, Juliana Stratton. She's also running for the U.S. Senate seat that Dick Durbin will be vacating. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here. I want to read, just because the president is speaking out about this on social media just this morning. Here's what he said to get you to respond. At least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far, the president writes this morning. Pritzker needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. But John did point out, so did Elena Trine, Chicago's not in the top 20 of cities when it comes to FBI crime stats on violent crime, and not in the top 10 when you talk about overall crime rates. So facts and data are critical. But if, Lieutenant Governor, the president is saying that this morning, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, first of all, let me just say that Donald Trump is not focused on public safety. Look, anytime that there's crime,
how is he not focused on public
safety in our
safety?
state or around the country, we want to continue to see progress being made, and we are making progress here in Illinois and in the city of Chicago. But this is not about public safety, and this is not about making our residents safer.
How is Trump not focused on public safety when he's literally focused on public safety? When he just made D.C. safe, and now he's saying that they need to set the precedent for Chicago, how is he not making public safety a priority and making public safety the thing that is important for him? Do these people just say stuff? Or are they just talking out of their... That doesn't even make sense. He's focusing on public safety. He's stopping wars across the world while at the same time focusing on public safety.
What Donald Trump wants to happen is he wants to manufacture a crisis. He's going to, as we just talked about, there's going to be a surge of ICE enforcement efforts. He knows that people will see those efforts and then want to speak out. People, good, decent people, will be heartbroken to see their neighbors being snatched off the streets and stuffed into unmarked cars. He wants to inflame tensions, and he wants to make sure that that he can cause some sort of crisis that he can say that he's coming to the rescue. And what we know is that we are going to follow the law here in Illinois. We are going to do everything we can to protect our residents, and we're not going to allow this president who wants to manufacture a crisis, who wants to, quite frankly, make the military presence on American soil something that people normalize. We are going to speak out. We are going to be prepared to do everything we can to protect the residents of our state.
And she's running for a Senate seat. I want y'all to remember that. These politicians don't care about y'all, bro. They don't. They care about their standing so that they can eventually level up and get to the next level. They don't care nothing about y'all. They don't want to speak and I would like for CNN to actually ask a reasonable question. Hey, listen, what about the 57 shootings over this past weekend and a similar amount the weekend before that and a similar amount the weekend before that? How do you stop the killing in the city completely?
Governor said Sunday that there had been no communication, no outreach whatsoever from the Trump administration
ask meaningful questions
to his. Are you aware that any communication has occurred between the administration and leadership in Illinois since then?
Well, we do know that ICE has informed our Illinois State Police Department that they are going to begin operations sometime later this week. But I want to make sure
at least
MSNBC
actually asked some pertinent questions.
Communication is
to
not
Governor,
the same as coordination.
What is his name? The
so
dude
we
in Maryland,
got notice
Westmore.
There's been no direct communication with the governor. There's been no coordination, not just with our administration, but with local law enforcement. And so, if this really is about what do we need to do to promote public safety and create safer communities, why would there not be coordination?
Let me ask y'all a question. And again, I think I asked this on Saturday, and I'm asking it again because I didn't get a reasonable answer or answer that I thought met my expectations. Aaliyah says they want us to die out. What does Trump get out of this? What does Trump get out of helping DC and Chicago fix their Democrat ran cities? What does Trump get out of it? How does he benefit from this? I actually think that he would probably benefit more if he started to focus more on Republican led states and cities. Go to Nashville. Deploy more ICE agents and all of it. Come to Detroit. I don't care. What does Trump get out of this? How does he benefit from making cities that he doesn't live in safer? I don't see anybody giving me a answer as to what he get out of it. Trump wants America to be successful. C. Diggs, that's probably about the best that I can come up with, because I don't understand the rest of these people. I don't see how they continue, bro. Black leaders, black politicians, and leaders have probably been one of the worst things for black communities ever, bro. Ever. They have gotten rich. They have stolen. They have leveled up in their careers. They have ruined the communities. They have done some diabolical things, man. Diabolical. Under Mayor Coleman A. Young's reign, Detroit was like, man, as soon as we got a black mayor, this city just started going down, down, down. Red team going down. Coleman Young hated white people. He hated dealing with white people. He hated dealing with news anchors. He hated Republicans. And he was just like, yo, let's just run this city into the ground. Black politicians have destroyed more cities and more school systems than anything ever in history, bro. They have destroyed more cities and school systems than anything in history, bro. They are worse than the communities that got burned down in Tulsa. They worse. They 10 times worse, bro. They've had a longer reign. They had worse results. They've stolen more money. They've taken more lives. They've ruined more public safety. I honestly believe that black politicians are worse than the Tulsa whole situation of burning down Tulsa. I honest to God do believe that in my heart, in my core. You know how much money, how many billions of dollars have been pilfered out of black communities and school systems? And it would behoove me, right? So it would make it seem like, no, Anton, Tulsa was worse. That's what it would seem like. No, Anton, Tulsa was worse. But was it? Because Tulsa was overt. And the destruction of our communities and our cities is covert. Tulsa was bad. It was wrong. But it was overt. It was directly in your face, and it was something that you couldn't deny, which forced people to acknowledge it. What happens when the devil operates in the crevices and the cracks and that it's covert, What happens is you allow to destroy for longer and you put in little things that's going to linger for the rest of history. See, nobody has ever had to force a politician to come to the front of the congregation that has destroyed en masse communities and culture to where they would have, nobody has to acknowledge it. See, when you deal with, let's say, for example, you got a racist white person, right? Or you deal with the slavery that happened here and the transatlantic slave trade and the Tulsa bombings and all of that stuff, right? And the lynchings and the hangings. That's overt. So it was right in your face. So now today, people that live in the victim Olympics will say, acknowledge what happened, acknowledge it. But when you have things that are happening covert from people that look like you, it's 10 times worse, maybe even 100 times worse, because there is no acknowledgement of it, because nobody truly know what the real problem is. Nobody is willing to call it out because nobody really knows what goes on. All you know is they pop up and they say, hey, Chicago, we got a $734 million budget deficit at Chicago's at CPS, at Chicago Public Schools. From who? Where? When? Why? What do you mean? Y'all didn't know that this was happening? Where did the money go? How are y'all short on money on educating kids that go into educating kids? How are you just missing money? Y'all just missing billions of dollars out of nowhere to just hit you. Boom. Like a bag of bricks. We don't know what happened. Hey, give us some more money. Nowhere can they do that. Nowhere can they do that. Nowhere can you steal right in front of people's faces, don't have to be responsible for it, and you can get a goal and you get a promotion from it. Only in politics. Only in politics. You can't pull that off nowhere. You can't pull that off in a dope game. You run off with somebody's money. You pop up talking about, hey, man, I'm short. You dead. You going to get beat up or you dead, and they want their money ASAP. No more consignment from you. You can't pull that off anywhere. Only in black and white politics in the United States of America do we have rich senators, Congress people, House of Representatives, mayors, governors. Bro, they live a life that we could only dream of. As an entrepreneur, I will tell you that governors and mayors, Congress people, they live lives that I could only dream of as a person that works relentlessly. They live a life that is hitherto unknown, that we can only dream. They live in the governor's mansions and the mayor's mansions, and they have a security detail and cars, and they have clout, and they determine where the money goes, and they always short, but they always getting reelected based off of telling you that it's the racism and authoritarianism that is against you. Dre, march against fascism. March against fascism. It's a labor union that's going to stitch this thing together. And it's the hope that brings us together and make sure that, when we come together and we work together, it's nothing we can't accomplish. Meanwhile, they be in the back room like, get all of the money. Let's get all of the money. Let's take it all. Don't miss a dollar. Take that one too. Hey, we short on the kids' funds this year. Teachers, y'all just gonna have to go ahead and get it out of y'all own money if you want some supplies. Let's come together as a community and make sure that we build together. Hey, get that last dollar over there. Get the last dollar. It's one more dollar, nigga. Just get it. Robbing the community blind. Just take everything. Take everything. Only place where you can get a promotion for doing a bad job. The only place is politics where you can get a promotion for doing a bad job. Just be missing money. Just missing money everywhere. It's always a billion or two missing. They don't even take a million. It'd be a billion or two missing. Billions. Hey, man, why is there so many rich people in Washington, D.C.? Isn't that a Democrat liberal place? Maryland, D.C., All of these places, what does everybody do? Oh, we all work for the federal government. Everybody rich? Everybody rich that work for the federal government, public spaces. Everybody got $1 million home, $2 million home, $3 million home. Everybody just rich. Everybody just rich. Just paying their property taxes with no problems. Mortgages, property taxes, $9,000 mortgages. What do? Oh, I'm a work for the federal government. That's why I moved to DC. Everybody rich, huh? Everybody rich? Everybody getting money out here, huh?